Is your living situation giving you comfort or stress? I'm talking about interior design, y'all. Let's get it. Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcasts and YouTube exclusive content. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, I'll be interviewing Dani Gottschalk. She's an interior designer and psychotherapist. We're going to be talking about how your living spaces can affect you mentally and emotionally. But that's enough for the intro. Let's get to the show. Okay, like I said at the top, I'm here with Dani Gottschalk. I'm probably butchered that last name, but I'm trying my best. She's an interior designer and bar owner with a diploma in psychotherapy. We're going to be sitting here talking about interior design, spaces, and how they affect you. Dani, I am so excited to have you on the podcast and do this interview. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're very welcome. I'm also very excited.
Oh, I'm glad you're excited. I love it when the guests are excited. It normally leads to a good interview. So I like to start off every interview with the same question. Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what led you to pursue your career, specifically your career in interior design and project development?
Yeah, that was now the last step in a long journey. So I always kind of knew that I'm a creative person, but I don't think we all get really well trained in school to figure out what our talents are. If you're not going to a Waldorf school, it's pretty lame. So I knew I'm good with words. And then I saw these billboards and I'm like, I want to do that because I was thinking that's all one job, like the Marlboro Man and the Marlboro claim. I thought that's all coming from one and the same person. So then I wanted to do that. So then I became a copywriter. That is the term it's called when you do something like this, a junior copywriter, a copywriter. But I felt like in this whole complex of advertising agency, it's not about creativity. It's about power. It's about politics. You have to submit to the person in the hierarchy. It's not about the good idea. And all the clients in Germany, they're also very conservative. So they not even go for the good idea, and you have this claim, you call yourself a creative, but you're not allowed to be creative. So you deliver a very good, sharp idea, but the client is too coward and there's no one fighting for you. So in the end, it's still your spot or your advertising, but it's kind of deconstructed to a point where you can't even put your name under it. You're basically embarrassed because there's no spark in it anymore. There's no joke in it anymore. It's not like slightly politically incorrect or like something that makes it stick out. So I'm like, I can't work for these people. So it's like, I really want them, but I'm like, I can't work in a complex like this. I want to be creative and I have a very strong feeling if the idea works and if it's good. So you just can't trick me out of that. So I know when it's good and it's like cooking. So you can't tell a chef, well, take the basil out. It will not taste the same. It's just like, no, but I made just some small changes. Yeah, but now it's not the dish. The dish isn't working. So same with creation, I think. So I needed to do something for myself. So I was like, okay, I must become self-employed. Then I took a completely different road and opened a restaurant, which was like only a soup bar, like only had soup and sandwiches. But now in the end, I know I never wanted to open the restaurant. What I wanted is to be able to have like a room to display my ideas and get direct feedback from the customers, which doesn't have to go through a process or whatever. So it's just like how people react to what I put out there. So for me, the biggest problem was to interior design the shop. So I was thinking I also must run it. But in the end, I would not have had to run it it was basically enough to create it. But of course, I was running it because no one was paying me for it to open it. And then I opened a bar, and the whole process of creating these new rooms and all the idea I have in my head how to create a new room. But then also as an empathetic person and with my own personal struggles and a difficult relationship with my mom and all the years of therapy I did myself, then I found myself in the position when you're behind the counter and in a bar as well, people start to talk to you. So they basically they have a beer, they have a gin tonic, and they want to pull their heart out. So, and if you're like conditioned like I am, you cannot not listen to it. You want to listen to it, and you want to give like good advice. And that led me to also do psychotherapy studies. So though then I had like a claim, a label on it. So I'm not just like an empathetic person. I also know what I'm doing. And yeah, basically the whole being with people, creating spaces, also creating spaces where people are free to express themselves. Like if it's a bar, I mean, one could say, okay, there's alcohol involved in all of that. But alcohol is just a token, like ordering a gin and tonic is just a token to be able to talk to someone or probably also like cherish an environment. I had so many people who said like my bar helped them to coming out of the closet, or they just feel they can be how they want to be. And yeah, that in the end led me to like what I really want is create spaces and encourage people to express themselves, live themselves, be themselves, give themselves like the words and the creation where they flourish the most.
So you said that you had issues with your mother, and
Yeah.
that sought you because of your issues with your mother, you sought therapy. When was it that you realized, okay, I have issues with my mom and I need to get help with this?
I think for the first 15 years, I thought my mom and I are really best friends, which
Mhm.
stopped in the moment that I became my own person. As long as she basically owned me like a pet and I had no mind of myself, things were beautiful. But when I got into puberty and became a woman, and she basically could sense that I'm soon going to kind of leave her in a way,
Mhm.
though she couldn't have that. So she was very jealous, very manipulative, very covert narcissistic, which I couldn't figure out what it is, why she's suddenly so hateful towards me. So I basically had no support from her. She always wanted me to feel bad, and she wanted me to stay small and to be with her. And she took so much room in my personality and in my heart. So I think, and then I had my first relationships, and they all kind of failed because they all repeated the pattern I had with my mom. I mean, my mom was my first love, and it's our all first love. So if we were lucky and had a good relationship, we probably are also going to have good relationships. But if you wanna, we are basically doomed to repeat what we haven't solved. So, and then I attracted always the same kind of narcissists, and basically through my relationships, I figured out my mom's diagnosis because I had no clue what she has and that she has that she had anything specific. But then living with men who had the same, and that basically then I think I started my first therapy was 25,
Mhm.
but I never stopped ever since. I did all therapies that are available. And once it's like with a diet, some people just want to go on a diet and then they want to lose 5 kilos and then they go back to their old habits. And other people completely change their lifestyle because they figure out it was unhealthy to live like that before. And I would rather keep on getting healthier and getting a better figure and staying where I am because it gave me so much, not only pride, but I feel so much better now that I figured that out. So, and the same with therapy. As soon as you feel for yourself that it helps, and the more you understand yourself, you more understand everyone else. And there's no stop to it. It's not that like, oh, I'm still not healed. I'm still miserable. I still need therapy. How embarrassing. No, it's you should go to therapy all the time. Everyone should go. You like basically just it's just a coaching. So like everyone would like to go to a massage every week. You should also every week like talk to someone and get mirrored back what happened and how you react to it and how it's like an old pattern or a new pattern or how you basically behaving better now or feeling better.
Do you think that your art is an outlet for your trauma
Yes,
and your
I think so.
creative? It's so funny that it's almost like you are opening up the sub shop and the bar to basically supplement, because you have to make money, to supplement your creative life, your creative ideas and your artistic
Yeah,
ideas, because you were unfulfilled doing it in the marketing, and they
exactly.
were stepping all on your creative ability. Like we find this often with artists, right? Musicians or directors or writers, where it starts to get to the executives and they start to dissect your artwork and it's no longer your artwork. So it just seems like you started these restaurants and bars solely because, yeah, I want to do the art my way, and this way I can display it. Also, I need to make money.
Exactly. You're exactly right. That's what it is. I wasn't aware of that, but it's actually really what it is because uh how to like with some dignity sell something but not losing yourself. If you like sell your ideas to someone and he's making them themselves, you just like drop out. And then again, if you're just creating something for yourself, you probably will never make money with it. So it's a very difficult thing to bring together, and I'm happy that I managed and that basically I had success and that people were acknowledging it and that I only had to report to myself if this is a good idea or a bad idea. And if it's a bad idea, I'm not making any money, but there's no one in between who just has to polish their ego and say, no, we do it my way. Also, your way will probably be better, but I better not, because that's what I know from home. So trying to keep you small, not
Mm,
trying to let you know that this actually really was a good idea. But
right.
especially in advertising, there are so many people involved, and there's the money, and there's the
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. So you have something called Tinseltown. Can you give my
Mhm.
audience a little explanation of what that is? And how would you describe your mission to someone unfamiliar with your work?
Tinseltown is an interior design company, which I created now here when I bought the house in South Africa. So, I mean, finally, after a bar and a restaurant and a hotel in Croatia and an apartment design in London and again, I figured out, okay, I'm actually an interior designer. I mean, so people always think you must commit to something, which I don't think because it's all part of. So, but interior designing is my strongest approach at the moment. That's what I want to, this is how I want to express myself. I will also bring in some psychological themes because I want to encourage people to live in a surrounding that really reflect themselves, not me, but them.
Mhm.
But that's also why I, of course, prefer to work with people who really vibe on the same, I can also make them like a calm, white, beige figure house. But everyone can do that because everyone is doing that in the moment. So I have a very specific, very circus kind of pop art, glam, bohemian Palm Springs approach, which is very vibrant and very stimulating, and for some people probably overstimulating. But it's a total niche, and there are people who are crazy for it, and probably other people will lose their mind. But yeah, I'm basically here to fulfill dreams or to create like an adventure. I think like you must come home and you must feel like every time you come into your home, it's like a weight is lifted from your shoulder. You are at home. You love it here. You really love it. You're not just existing. You love it. So the home is nurturing. It really like stimulates you. You're still able to see something new. Also, you have been there a million times. You just feel good. You feel calm and like inspired at the same time. And that's what Tinseltown is doing.
I dig that. And the reason why I dig that is because I absolutely agree with you. I don't think people understand how important it is for your home to be your home. And what I mean by that is whenever I go visit my mom or my sister, I immediately feel at home. Their places are designed just for comfort. It's very earth tony. It's not a lot of lights and brightness, but it's just calming. Now,
Yeah.
I am a huge fan, a huge fan of the TV show Miami Vice. I love pastel colors and neon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my house has lights everywhere. They're different colors. I change the light colors and everything. And for some people that enter my home, it's overwhelming. And at times for me, it's overwhelming, but I can change the colors of my lights. I can dim them. I can change the mood. And it kind of feels like the way you design is kind of similar to what I
Very
like,
much. Very much.
but also it's also I like that and also like the calmness. Like there so
Yeah.
how do you work with people who would be somebody like me that says, I want the lights, I want to walk in and my place is a party, but also sometimes I just want it calm.
I do understand, and I'm also the same. And I would love to see your house. It sounds like you're living like the Sonny Crockett
I
lifestyle.
try to. I try to. Sonny and Ricardo. That's what I try to do in my life. Yes.
That's amazing. I would love to see that because it's also very fashionable at the moment. The whole 80s Miami thing, it's just so coming back. Like the round beds and the flocardis and the pink everywhere. So it's very much coming back. So you're very trendy, so to say. So I think like a house must not be, or an apartment whatsoever, you must not follow through with one thing in every room because you're not in every room at the same time. I mean, it will be very hard if you do like a Italian Toscana villa style at the back of your, like for the living room and the kitchen, and then you have like a high-end art deco. That will never fit. If you go for two very strong styles, it doesn't fit. But I'm sure you can create in the style you have, you can create a much calmer room with less decoration. Just stick to one or two of the colors that you have somewhere else in the room and give it a completely different vibe. There's probably completely different lighting. And I like to do that in the bathroom. The bathroom of that house also doesn't really fit the rest of it. It gives you a completely like 5-star hotel, marble, could be elsewhere. So if I would be like completely going through with that, it would also have been black and white stripes, which would have been amazing. But a lot of the break going into the spa like dark, moody, sexy bathroom. Though I absolutely think you can create a room, must not be the most important room. I think like the main rooms should be like in one vibe. But then you have always a room where you can go, you pick something out from the other rooms, but then go with that, like color trenching, leave it all in one color, which is like already soothing, no matter what color it is. But if you go everything one color, it will already be like a calming vibe.
So in talking about just taking me personally with my mom and my sister's homes being this comfort and my home doing kind of both because of my personality. Sometimes I'm hyper, sometimes I'm not hyper, and my place is exactly like that. How does your background in psychology approach interior design and shaping spaces for not only you personally, but for your clients?
Yeah, I think there is not so much in the way. There's nothing you can say from the beginning, like this is like this color would be good for you because you have ADHD or something like this. Like I'm not going so far, like really like diagnosing like clients, but I can see what if they're really like OCD and need it all clean, then you also must respect that. So like then my house would already be overstimulating with all the decoration. So you can adjust to their, first of all, to their lifestyle, and then also to their to their personality disorders, or to their little kinks. So it should cater to that. Your house cannot make yourself nervous only because it's trendy. So to have a million coffee books on the table for some people, that will just be overwhelming and terrible. But you can still, you must consider the personality of the person, which becomes harder if it's a couple. So there's only so much you can, I think, take in perspective. You must take their overall approach in perspective, but that's also the reason why couples seek your interior designer, because it's almost like divorce counseling, like couple counseling. Is it like, so they have no concept together, and then they now want you to take both sides in, and then I mostly go with what I want to do.
Okay, so but how can a room design help or hurt a person's well-being, mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, I think it definitely can. So if you already have a dysregulated nervous system, you cannot go wild, because the rooms would just be overstimulating to you. And as I said, you should come home. It should be like a weight is lifted from your shoulder. If you come from a traffic jam and your own house feels to you like a traffic jam because there's so much going on, then you will not feel at home. So it depends on, if you're a very regulated person, if you're like internally very clean, then you can tolerate a lot of chaos. I mean, even Albert Einstein said this already. So you must be very coordinated inside if you can tolerate chaos on the outside. And creation is chaos. I mean, so even like cats, for example, love to live in chaos because it's closest to nature. Nature is also chaotic. Nature is not straight and linear and OCD. So in general, a home should be both stimulating and calming. But if you are somewhere on the edge from your personality already, I guess it should only be calming. So, and I don't think that anyone who's like, whatever, who has low blood pressure, which is not a personality disorder, should live in a wild environment just to get a little bit more hype. It could probably happen, but it doesn't have so. But in general, I think most people are rather overwhelmed. I mean, neurodivergent is like, I will not say it's a new thing, but there are more and more neurodivergent people, and they need kind of structure, but also like creativity. So it can harm. I think in general, too much will rather harm you than too little. But also in belittleness, I would not go for the minimalism, because minimalism per se is cold. That's my feeling. So I would go for not too much decoration, but still a lot of color.
Still a lot of color. Are there ways that people are going to be listening to this and they're going to say, I never thought about this before. My house doesn't feel like a home. Are there ways that they can kind of pick up on the fact that they're not in comfort when they are home, and this interview can bring attention to the fact that they need to make some changes at home, that it may not be just work and outside factors outside of the home. It may be your actual home is dysregulating you as well, and you need to take an examination of that. Are there signs that people can pick up on?
I think it always feels like that people are like, oh, home sweet home. I mean, almost everyone would say like, oh, I feel the best at home. But it's of course difficult if you're per se a depressed person who feels the best at home. That means probably in translation that you just feel sheltered and safe and isolated, which also is not ideal. So I think everyone must really take a good look if there are places where they rather be, if they have a friend where they say, oh, it feels so good in this environment. Or like if you now only would feel good with your mom and your mother, it's like, oh, I want to go home And then you go to your own place and you would say, you're still not home. Home is still there where my mom and my sister is. Then you would know you have a problem, you know? So, and if there are places, if it's like hotel lobbies or a restaurant or your friend's place where you somehow feel better than home, than in your own home, you should actually almost feel nowhere better at, than at home. So, and I have a friend who always says, like, you know what? Also, when you go on holiday, you should never go to something less fancy and less nice than your own home, because you don't have to spend money for something that has not the quality of living where you're living in on a daily basis. It can't be a holiday. So if people think there are places where they feel better or calmer, or then they also must see, is it because of the person? Is it because my friends live there? Or is it just such a nice atmosphere when you come in there, the lighting is dim and the couch is cozy and it's a nice smell in the air. So really pay close attention to what is it, what you like in the other place, almost better than yours. And then also, is it probably because people always like, oh, I have no taste or I have no style. Yeah. But that's not true. Everyone has taste and everyone has style. People are just like, have been told like, oh, you have no good taste. And then they somehow believe that this is true. I mean, there's no judge about good taste. You know, if you don't want to end up in interior design magazine, there's basically no one you have to report to. You must feel your best in your house. And uh, if you all feel uncomfortable, if friends come over and you have to defend why you did something that way, that's also sometimes a big problem. But in general, I think people must learn to listen to the tiniest spark they experience when they see something and they're like, oh, I love that, but that would never fit in my house. No, go ahead and buy it. And whenever you see something where you really have like a visceral reaction, where you feel like, I really like that, don't pass it by. If it's kind of affordable, just take it and start to integrate it in your house. And it will change, and it will change you, and you will be proud of your decisions because you look at stuff that actually makes you happy. And the more of the stuff you have that makes you happy, it's not that it's all fit together. It's basically like, if you have 8 children and you look at all of them, they will make you more happy than if you have one child. You know, I have one child, you know? So it's just like more of a good thing is more of a good thing.
So I have another question. Remote work is huge. I don't know how big it is overseas, but here in America, remote work is huge. So people are at home and they're working at home, and jobs here are stressful. How can they create a workspace and have that separate from their living space? If they can't build an office like outside, their office is inside their home. How can they leave that office and walk into their home and separate it? Is there a way that you can design the two so that they absolutely feel different?
I think, yeah. I mean, it would definitely help if your table is not standing right in your living room, because then you have to adjust the whole living room. But if you have the luxury of having a own room, like an office room, I don't think that people really want it to look like an office. I mean, some people probably feel safer or more important if they keep it really officey. But it's also like a wrong perception that people think an office must look like an office. You hated your office when there was no remote work. When you have to go to your office, you probably hated it because it looked so sterile and there was no creativity, there was no fantasy, there was nothing. So now you have an office where you hang out like 6 to 8 or even longer hours a day. You must make it as nice as you can. So if you want to, you put like a pot with warm water under your table just to feel like, oh, you're on the beach and you're like, whatever. So, or like you have like a little thing that sparkles water, like a little fountain. And then you hang nice, you just make it a nice room. You must not make it a room that screams office. So that must be like a holiday home. So that must be the nicest room in your house, because there you spend most of your time. And
Mm.
the good thing is now that you don't have to go to office, you don't have to leave your house. You can make your workspace the nicest room. You go on holiday every day. I mean, you have to do tasks, but you look around and there are all these pictures that you love, and probably you get a nice curtain, or you get a good view, or you have a lot of plants, and it feels really jungly. So make your workspace the nicest place in the house.
Ah, I like that. I like that a lot. And that's a shout out for everybody that still gets to work from home. You've traveled all over.
Yes.
Is there a different obviously there's a difference. Do you see a connection uh, with how can I phrase this question properly? I would say that Americans are a little uptight. Not a little bit more uptight than in Europe and other places. Do you see that in the way that we design things and design our homes as well? Is there a difference of in other words, what I'm asking is there a difference in designs that could lead to a more peaceful, less uptight nature that you see in other countries?
I think I can't say that for whole countries, you know. I think
Mm.
like if you live in LA, or if you live like in some kind of redneck little intern US state where I've never been, it will be the same like in Cape Town. If you live in Cape Town, even in Cape Town, you can find low taste, but a lot of the stuff from the restaurants to the houses is high taste. But
Mhm.
then you go to whatever Pretoria, or to small suburbs, and it's as suburban and as um, uptight as everywhere else. And though it is in Germany, oh my God, Germany is so uptight. I would think nowhere in the US it could be more uptight than in Germany. Germany is the capital of uptightness.
I
And
don't know.
also,
I live in Washington, DC. Washington, DC is pretty uptight. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Germany, but I have a friend who is listening and watching the show from Germany and lives here, and she could honestly say, which one is more uptight. She might say Germany, though. She might say Germany.
I mean, I have a friend, he's like a German who also lives in Washington, D.C., and he loves Washington, D.C., but he also loves Germany. So I think they might be very similar.
Okay.
So, but I think it's very individual, and you will find uptight people everywhere in the world, in every country. You find creative people everywhere. You find tasteless people. You find cheap people. You find people who don't care about how it looks in their houses at all. You find modern people. I think I've not seen anything that is particular, whereas I would say, I mean, okay, my bar, for example, in Frankfurt, everyone comes in and say, oh, it's so Berlin, which is
Yes.
still Germany. But I don't want to be Berlin. I never wanted to be Berlin. I can't stand Berlin, but Berlin is the thing. I mean, even when I was in the US, everyone was like, oh, Berlin, Berlin. And I'm like, yeah, difficult. No, but I can't. Of course, there are classical Italian stuff, but even if you go like very down in the south of Italy, also they have these beautiful buildings, but then the inside are these old beds and you hardly can sleep in it. So there's ugliness everywhere. There is uptightness everywhere. There is also a little bit of looseness. And I mean, I think it's only like small crowds which are more creative than others, but I could never say that for a whole country or a whole city. Or
Okay. Yeah. So you just can't generalize. I like to generalize America compared to everybody else because it seems like we're a little bit more conservative here. But there are absolutely pockets, Miami Vice, right? So Miami is completely different world than many of the cities that are right next to it. So yes, what you're saying makes absolute sense. Mm, What is there a particular project that you've done or worked on that you feel like best represents your style? Because you have your bar, you have your company where you do interior design, but is there one particular project that you were like, "Mwah, this is it. This is me in its entirety."
Well, I must say that's like the house I renovated and created, which is basically my Tinseltown business card, which I bought like 2.5 years ago here in Cape Town.
Mhm.
That's my best work. I get like everything, but I mean, I think the latest project is always the best work because you also develop yourself. I wasn't that bored in my bar. My bar is also bored, but I have it for 23 years. Of course, 23 years ago, I was still not that. It's getting more and more. You try out more and more. Your style gets more and more advanced, and nothing's holding you back anymore. And this worked. Okay, now you can go a step further. And I think this house is completely me, and the next project will be even more.
So,
But this hotel here, it's not a hotel, it's a villa that I'm renting out for photo shoots, but also for Airbnb guests. That is like complete. That's just perfect, I would say.
okay, so Tinseltown is kind of a concept for content creators, correct?
Yes.
So can you explain to me a little bit about how that works?
So it I did not really create it. Or I maybe did, but I never did anything in my life with a business plan. So I was not sitting down and say I'm making a content creator house. But the way it turned out, it was pretty clear that this is going what it's going to be because it was like 4 weeks on Airbnb on the market, and I had about around 200 influencers checking in, asking if they can come and if they can do stuff. So it just developed, and it was basically parallel that I even found out that this is a thing, that they're actually like influencers, content creator outside. They are actively looking for stuff that gives them such a brilliant background. And yeah, that's pretty amazing actually, because that's perfect for that. That's perfect for all kind of photo shoots. It's perfect for your Insta story. It's just like it gives you so much to play with.
So it's your place, though it's home, is kind of also like a studio, like a movie studio or
Yeah,
a studio
it is.
lot where they will
Yeah,
have different designs for different shoots, different TV shows.
exactly.
And so people come and they film. Now they don't stay, right? Do they stay with you? Is it a content creator house where influencers will actually stay, or do they just come, rent out spaces for a certain amount of time to shoot their content and leave?
It's both. Some only rent it for a day and then not stay overnight. Others come for 2 days. Others come for a whole week. So whatever someone wants to invest and combine. Some want just to make holiday, just someone just to want to feed their feed. So some just I mean, I now had like some bigger companies doing photo shoots here for their advertising campaigns. So it's for all kinds, actually like a movie set, you're right. So then every room is different, the outdoors is different. You can be in Mykonos, somewhere in Greece, but you can, most of the time, you will be in Palm Springs or in the Beverly Hills Hotel, something like that. So that's the main theme of the house. But you can find so many backgrounds where so much is happening so that you can, for a lot of scenarios, just like say, oh yeah, that's the right house for me.
So that's so crazy. How does that feel personally to know that you are creating a house for yourself, but in that house for yourself, it's so welcoming that people want to come to your house to feature your house when they're featuring themselves? How does that feel personally to know that you created something that other people say, I want to be a part of that?
Yeah, maybe that's a little bit my kink because I think that also was like the underlying theme of opening a restaurant and a bar. People, there is something that is so attractive to people, but I created all of this, so that I've had to give something to the people. They want to actually come. They want to have a drink here. They want to have a soup there. So because they feel good in that environment that I created, and it's the same with the house. I'm also not like stingy in sharing that because I love hosting and I love sharing that with the world. And I love that I'm able to create something for people where they say like, oh my God, because there are also places for me where I say, oh my God, I must go there. Oh my God. So I must save all my money just to spend 3 days wherever. It must not be the White Lotus. But so if people really like, if they write to you on Airbnb or wherever, and you just realize they definitely want to stay there, they don't want to spend that amount of money, but at least they want to be there 2 days. And I'm the same person. There are places where I can't afford to stay very long, but at least I want to be there for 1 or 2 nights. I just want to go there. I just want to feel it, because the feeling you take with you. You can also make your content and your pictures, but you will never forget how it felt to come into that house and be overwhelmed by all of that.
Yeah, but what fascinates me more about this is when you're creating a bar or a shop, you're creating an environment where you're expecting and you're hoping that people will come in. When you're creating your home, yeah, you like to host, but I'm sure in the back of your mind, you weren't creating, like you said, this was not a concept that you had originally thought out to do. This was a home that you designed, but in that same process of the shops and the bar, there's still an attraction there that people are drawn to. But that wasn't the initial purpose. The initial purpose was for it to be your home. So I know that there's a difference between designing a bar and driving people to the bar by the aesthetic of the bar. That's something that you purposely did. But this wasn't something that you purposely did, but it still had the same effect. That has to make you feel good inside, that no matter where you go, people are going to be drawn to your art.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's it. And I have also like a need to, even if I wanted to create a home, but I also knew that this will be my business card for me as an interior designer. So whatever I create, it will always be like shown to the public somehow. And it makes me feel really, really, really good. I love that. I love that I'm able to do that. That's something I like. Also, other people will like in a way I like it. Not just like, you can't be like ambivalent about the house. You will love it, or it will be far too much for you. So, but if you love it, you really love it. And it was also the same with my bar. My bar was like so special, and for 2 years it did not really work. And I was so concerned because it was done with so much love and passion and intention, but it's not a mainstream thing, which I had to learn. But now it's running for 23 years. It's the oldest bar in Frankfurt. When there was COVID and no one was allowed to go out, people were basically waiting in front of the bar until it opened again. Other bars could not open anymore because they don't have their fans. But this bar really has a fan base, because these people all feel at home there. So they missed it so much. And so the doors opened again, it was full again. So, but this took a time to create, because it's not for everyone. So it's not like you must make a statement. I think a lot of people don't want to make a statement. They buy a Ralph Lauren shirt because they basically have no taste, but they're on the safe side because everyone knows what it costs and you're dressed with it. So you don't have to make a statement. They would never just choose something, especially if it has not a certain price, because they're not aware of their taste, or if it's really nice. They just can choose because it has a price and everyone can see he could afford it. He's on the safe side. So I think it's only special people who feel drawn to it, who want to make a statement, who want to be different or have a different taste, and then also be happy that someone has the courage to go out there and put it into the world, and not take the safe route and say, we go Hickel, we make it all beige, we make it all like IKEA, because that's always okay. But you will not remember it.
We've talked a little bit about your challenges, right? Your challenges when you were in the advertising agency. You said it took the bar a little while to get going. What would you say is one of the main challenges that you faced throughout your career? And what has that challenge taught you about design and creativity?
The one of the main challenges is really like to trust so much in your own creation and in your own idea, that you're not listening to all the fears your friends, your parents, everyone is putting onto you. If you go out and say, like, I open a bar or a restaurant when I was very young and my parents know they can't really help me. If it goes wrong, they don't have the money to support me. And also with buying a house on the other side of the world, my friends, and then everyone asking you all the questions that keeps them holding back from doing something, and what are you doing then? And what is happening with this? And what is that? And I'm like, listen, it's not that I was not thinking about it, but I can't answer it. We cross the bridge when we get there. So I do it. I feel the fear and do it anyway. I will do it. Don't ask me all that question. It's not that I'm going in naively. It's my whatever 20s project. I thought about it. I can't answer to you. I still do it. You can't answer these questions, and that keeps you from doing it. So that's one thing. You don't have to be transparent to everyone. Don't share everything you do with everyone because they will not understand. And you also not. Nobody is that brave that, you must be stupid to do all of that with no fear. But you don't need more fear from the other people. So they treat you like you must be the expert now and you're doing that all fearless and it's all falling in your lap and you can only do it because you're so fearless. No, I'm not. I have fear, but I do it anyway because I can't stop. So, and then I had a very concrete challenge, which was like business partners. I definitely doesn't work for me. I'm do my own thing.
Yeah.
Can't have business part. It's also for me, I'm not valuing money enough. My first business partner poured in the money. Of course, without his money, I could never have done shit. But then on the other hand, it's just money. So, I have a full idea. And because he spent the money, wants to have a say. But that just spoils the whole idea. It's very hard for me to accept it. But
hold on, Dani. Hold on.
Yeah.
I find this hilarious. So you had a business partner that put in all the money, but you didn't want that business partner to have any say in the creation.
Exactly. No, because the concept was ready and it was a full concept. And that's especially recently also what made me leave advertising because it's not logical and it's not fair, but you're not doing yourself and your business a favor if you give me money for something that will completely blossom, which I can kind of promise you. It will blossom less if I start to integrate your ideas in a concept you have no clue about. So this guy did not have a clue about what I was doing. He just believed, because I was so passionate about it, to give me the money. So, and I know, of course, but if we give all the money, we also shall have a say, but it's not profiting the business, you know what I mean? So,
I get what you're saying. Yes, I get what you're saying. It's just, that's funny.
I know it's very hard for someone to accept. I do understand, but it's just like, so, okay, but what do I want to say? Yeah, the other challenge was, this guy then also wanted to go out of the business after a year, which was the biggest blessing because I could not have him say anyway, and he didn't benefit. And it's absolutely unbelievable that he wanted to go out because it was running like crazy. It was the talk of town. People were standing on the street lined up to eat soup. And he still wanted to go out because he started too many projects and he became a father. And I think he also noticed that he has no say and it doesn't make any sense. And so for me, it was a great blessing that he wanted out, but I immediately also paid him back. So I paid him everything back. So I had no resources. And then I also opened a second branch of the same soup kitchen. And then with the beginning of the new contract of the second soup kitchen, the summer of the century started. So 2003, and it was 35 degrees from mid-April to mid-September, basically every day, every fucking day. And I have nothing but food and sandwiches.
Okay, so we're in America. So what is that? Was it when you say 35 degrees? Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? Is it cold or hot?
It's Celsius. It's very hot. So hot that you would not eat soup if someone would give you $2,000. So it's just like hot. It's
Yeah.
beach hot. It's too hot for the beach. It's too hot for everything. And it was like a lot of hospitality completely crashed. And so because I was so much positioned on soup, which is a blessing. But of course, people not thinking, oh, what's the poor lady from the soup kitchen doing? They're just not coming because they barely survive. All they want to have is a salad and a Coke Light or something.
Ice cream.
So yeah, ice cream. So they're not even thinking about lunch or about anything. So you stand there, you still have to open. The shop itself is hot. You're cooking soup. Nobody wants to eat it. You throw it away. You're creating more. So you throw your money down the toilets, but you also don't have the balls to say, you know what, I'm opening in September again. I mean, not after I was only like 3 years in business,
Mm-hmm.
Today I would do that. If this would be like this, but you still hope, or maybe tomorrow it's cooler.
Yeah.
So, if not tomorrow, but you have to prepare all of that. That was horrible. I had like depression from it. My hair was falling out. I did think that was it. You have a great idea, but like Jesus, Petrus, whoever decides it's 35 degrees every fucking day for 5 months and you're done. You're bankrupt. It's over. So it was horrible. And after that, I worked. I mean, okay, then September came eventually. I mean, that also I knew September would come. And of course, I was a little bit afraid that they will also hate my whole concept. So that it was something personal. Then it was not only the sun, but it was. So suddenly it was colder and business was running and I could pay all the bills. But I was really traumatized, like post-traumatically traumatized. And I worked then my ass off. I worked from 8 o'clock in the morning in the soup kitchen until 2 o'clock in the bar. So I did all shifts myself because I had this existential thing of like, no matter how good your idea is, the weather, which you can't control. I mean, who knows? But I can't control the weather. So you're still on the shorter end.
Right.
So you must be prepared for everything.
Yeah. No, as somebody who's had a couple of failed businesses, there's nothing that hurts more than the breakup of a business. I've had failed romantic relationships and failed businesses. The failed businesses hurt more. I can deal with a failed relationship, but when you have an idea and you believe in the idea and it doesn't come to fruition or to the goal that you thought that it would go to, it is heartbreaking. But you are successful. No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Especially if you not have really done something wrong, Also, if you have done something wrong, because everyone can make a wrong decision, but if it's completely out of your hand, it's just going down the drain, whatever, because the house burned down or it's like super hot or whatever, it's just that's painful, really, really painful.
But you are accomplished now. The bar has been running well. You got that content creator. So what's next for you? You've had a successful career, successful businesses. What's next? What's the next thing that's for you, Dani?
I think I will permanently move to Cape Town as soon as I can, or at least like 10 months or 8 months a year. And I'm gonna interior design a restaurant here, and I'm gonna interior design a bar here. And then I think I will see at the moment, I really have a huge urge to do a lot of interior design until my ideas run empty, which will probably never happen. But this is what I want to do. So I'm still doing therapy and I'm doing group therapy, like family constellation. And I will do, I think, some handcrafted stuff. I will go into the production of them because that's the great thing about here. You can get very nice things customized. So I will create some own designs and will get them customized. Probably eventually open a new shop because there's still so much that you can do in South Africa. It's not like Germany where there's everything and everything is in 20 different things and you have to be impeccable. You have to be better than everyone. Yes, people are very appreciated of little creators, businesses of design. So you have actually a real chance to do here something. There's still a lot of space, of room for good ideas.
I love that. Well, Dani, I want to thank you for coming on the show and opening up about your life and your work. And I know people that have listened to this have learned, whether they realize it or not, your home might be
Yeah,
a little bit of the cause of your stress. You might want to look into redesigning or adding things, or like you said, if you like something, add it to your home. Doesn't matter what other people think because it's your home. I want to thank you
exactly.
so much for coming on and just sharing that information to my audience.
Thank you. Thank you too. It was wonderful talking to you.
Yes, it really truly was wonderful talking to you as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, some of you might not. You should definitely follow our Instagram page for Unsolicited Perspectives. But my home, as I was telling Dani, is very much my personality vibe, Miami vibe, a lot of lights, a lot of mood setting, and it can be overwhelming for certain people. Like people have walked into my place and said, can we tone it down a little bit? You got 2 TVs going, you got music blasting, and you got all these lights on all over the place. It's a bit much. But for me, it's comfort. Also, I do have another part of my personality where I need to tone it down to relax. And that's the reason why I love my mom and my sister's place so much, because they are on pure relaxation all the time. So I could go there and take a breath. Not like I can't take a breath in my own place, but I can go there and take a breath. It's interesting to learn how we design our living spaces and how that can affect us emotionally and mentally. And I think Dani made very, very good points about, hey, look, if you go out there, you see something you like, you want to put in your house, but other people are hating on it, to hell with them. It's your house. It's your living space. You need to make your living space as comfortable as it could possibly be. So once again, I want to thank Dani for coming on the show and just enlighten us about how our living spaces affect us and telling us a lot about her life and her work. I thought it was a really good and interesting interview. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are working remotely, working from home, take some of Dani's advice and make your office the most comfortable place in your house, the most relaxing place in your house. Because aside from your bedroom where you sleep in, it's a place that you spend the most time at. So make sure that it's comfortable and relaxing. And on that note, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holla. Woo! That was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock with will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspective.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you really feel generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.